Welcome to Constructive Conversations, the podcast dedicated to raising the standard of excellence in light construction. I'm your host, Colton Lingle. Each episode will explore the people, products, and processes that are shaping the future of this industry. From practical insights to proven best practices, you'll discover how to build better businesses, relationships, and buildings. This is where excellence isn't just expected, it's the baseline. Get ready, because today's constructive conversation starts now. Welcome back to Constructive Conversations. I'm Colton Lingle. Today, we're talking about Underdeck DrySpaces, the options that you have and why you would want it. Thanks again for joining me. I know it's been a minute, but I wanted to jump on here. We've had a couple questions recently here at Mountain Decks and Exteriors about the various different options that you have regarding Underdeck DrySpaces, and I wanted to talk about the various solutions that are out there. So first, why would you want an Underdeck DrySpace? A couple different reasons. One client that we've had wanted it so that he could have a place to grill while it was raining. It rains a lot here in Western North Carolina, and he still wanted to enjoy some wonderful food cooked on the grill, and he needed a great place to do that. So Underdeck DrySpace allows him to do that. Another reason is because around here, it's difficult to have extra storage space. And a great place to create some extra storage space is underneath your deck. Well, there's certain things you might want to store that you don't want to get wet on a regular basis. So you want to put them underneath someplace that's dry, and creating that dry space is a great way to do it. Another simple reason that you could want to do it is because you want another place to be able to hang out with friends and family and enjoy the beautiful outdoors, even when it's raining. Dry space is excellent for that. So those are a couple of the reasons why you might want to do it, but what are some of the options in creating that underdeck dry space? The first option that you have is going to be an under-joist system. That's going to be something that you attach to the bottom of the joist, that the water comes through the decking, through the framing material, and then runs off on this underdeck or under-joist system. And then the second option is an over-joist system or a membrane system. Sometimes you'll hear people like Dr. Decks call it a bladder. Shout out to Dr. Decks. And so this bladder system, membrane system, over-joist system is a great way to do that. I'll explain in a second how that works, but that's the second way to do it. The third way is by having a waterproof decking. And we'll talk about the best solution for waterproof decking that I know of, and we'll talk about that. So first solution that we've seen it, is the under-joist system. So you've got your joist right here, and then you've got a piece that goes along the bottom here and gets screwed in and attached. Sometimes you'll see metal roofing flipped upside down, put up under there, or TimberTech has what they call TimberTech DrySpace. Good on them for choosing the term most people use for that is DrySpace, but it's TimberTech DrySpace, and it allows you to have an underdeck system. It's a vinyl panel that you screw in and install. The pros of that are it's fairly simple to install, fairly quick to install. It's something that you can install after the fact, after the deck is done. So it's not a decision you have to make. You can come back years later even and install it. And it's somewhat easy to repair, remove panels, and replace panels somewhat easily. I should say not super easy, but somewhat easy. The second solution is the over-joist system or the bladder system, the membrane system. That's where you use like an EPDM membrane. That would be used like a pond liner for making like those outdoor water features. That pond liner, they cut it into to make a little trough over. You've got your joist and you've got a trough that you angle towards a point. Then you could put a gutter there. It drains the water away, and you seal everything on top with some caulk and some seam tape. Make sure everything's sealed, and then you lay your deck boards on top of that, screw them through the membrane all the way into the joist, and that's how you hold everything in place. The water runs through the decking into this membrane and gets drained away. So the downside of that one is that you can get screws. Screws go through the membrane, and that might not always be 100% sealed waterproof. But that's one of the solutions that's out there. You'll see that solution used by guys like Dr. Decks a lot. And it's a great solution if you're trying to keep your joists dry. It's important to keep the joists dry because that under-joist system, I didn't really talk about this, but the under-joist system, the downside of that is that it holds, like the surface tension of the water stays on here, and it gets close to that joist and there's not a lot of airflow, so that moisture stays in there and can really attack those joists prematurely and cause your deck to wear out faster than it should otherwise. So that's the reason I don't really like the under-joist system. The membrane system solves a lot of that issue, but I think there's one other solution that I think is actually a little bit better than both of those. If you want a finished product, the under-joist system looks more finished. You don't see the bottom side of the joist. The over-joist system or the membrane system, you can see the bottom of the membrane. And typically what people do is they choose to put some sort of sealing or soffit over there to hide that that membrane so it's not visible. So that's that. And then the final solution is a waterproof deck solution. The company that I know that does that is Duxxbak Deck. I highly recommend them. We've used their product now and I'm very happy with it. Simply the deck itself locks together. You add some sealant, creates a bond that then that deck acts like a roof. It's got a slight slope to it. You have to frame it a certain way. That is one of the downsides, but the water just runs off the top. Typically you want to add a gutter to the outside and gutter it away that way, but it's the best solution I think out there for that. Some of the downsides to that, it's really hard to replace a board if a board gets damaged because they're all locked together. So it can be it is possible. There are ways to do that, but it does take a little bit of work. The other downside is the boards themselves can sometimes be a little warm. So full sun all day long, if you're trying to enjoy the deck, might be a little difficult. But if you've got some place that's going to be in the shade late evening, early morning when most people want to enjoy their deck, then I highly, highly, highly recommend it. In fact, it's the one that I recommend the most because it's both a decking and a dry space solution all in one. So it's usually the most cost-effective solution for the problem. Then the second thing I recommend is going to be that Trex Rain Escape type solution. The Trex Rain Escape is one of the name brand, but you can go out and you can create the solution on your own using some pond liner and go that route if you'd like. But Trex, that membrane solution and then adding a sealing, that would be my solution if the budget wasn't as much of an issue. I'd probably be looking to try and do something like that. Finally, the reason I don't like the under-joist system is because that keeps that water by the joist. I don't really like that. That's why I recommend that one the least. So those are the different solutions that you have to the problem. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. mtndecks.com. There's a form there that you can fill out and we'd be happy to talk. Or you can reach out to us on the comments for this video. So thank you for listening. Hopefully this answers some of your questions. Love to hear your feedback if you've got anything else to add. Stay busy, stay humble, stay learning. Thanks for joining me here on Constructive Conversations. Thanks for joining us on Constructive Conversations, where we're raising the standard of excellence one episode at a time. If you found today's discussion valuable, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you know a homeowner or contractor who could benefit from these insights, share this podcast with them. Until next time, keep building smarter, keep raising the bar, and keep the conversation constructive.